Hello everyone, it's Meg. If you watched my previous video where I gave you some design inspirations for different gardens using the newer blocks from 1.16, well this is kind of a continuation of that because I did promise to make a tutorial for one of those features, so this is going to be a mix match of tutorial and inspiration for just additional garden ideas, and I hope you enjoy it. We're just going to start off this garden by building a basic gazebo. It's going to be the same design that I did in my previous video, although I did change up the block palette just a little bit. Since we now have the blackstone, I just wanted to try using it with this build, and I think the dark prismarine will work very well as a nice complementary block. And then these are just additional decorative blocks that we will be needing. So what I'm going to do first is just build out this gazebo, and then after that I'm going to just kind of make up the rest of it as I go. I do have some ideas though. So let's start with the base. We're just going to go ahead and create this shape that I am showing you. We're going to be leaving a gap right here in the front. That's going to be where the entrance goes. And I think I'm just going to keep using the polished blackstone. It's really just for me to experiment more with this block, but I think it will look pretty nice too. Once you have the base done, then we're just going to take our stairs and we're going to go on each of these ends right there, put a stair there, and then on every corner put another stair. So it's really just the same thing all the way around. Just make sure you're putting the stairs in all of these corners. And then you have two on these diagonal corners. So it should look something like this. Now we can go ahead and do the floor. Let's just go ahead and fill it in with the polished basalt. I love the pattern that this has on the top, so that is the block I'm going to try using. Again, this is just like an experiment. You could switch these out with any blocks. And since we don't have stairs in the polished basalt, I'm just going to use a slab here just so we have a nice easy way of getting into this. Now we need to add some walls, so right behind wherever you see the stairs, we're going to do 2 walls up like this. So go ahead and do that all the way around. Just wherever you have a stair connected to a block, we're going to put 2 walls. Once you have all of those, then we can just connect them all on the inside with the walls again to make a railing. Alright, so you should have something that looks like this. The next thing we need to do is start with the roof. We're going to take the polished blackstone again and go around like this, so we have 3 on the ends, and on the corners we have 3 blocks again to make that corner. And we're just going to repeat that all the way around. So you should have something that looks like this. Once you have this, we're going to find wherever we put the stairs on the first level, and we're going to go to that level we just made and do an upside down stair in that exact same place. When I built this gazebo originally, I was just kind of making it up on the fly. This is like kind of harder for me actually, because now I actually have to think about what I'm doing. Now we're ready to start with the roof. I'm going to take my dark prismarine slabs. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to put some polished blocks on these spots. So 2 on the corners here and 1 here, and we're going to do that all the way around. I do have a guide for you to look at if you get confused, but it's going to look like this. And then we're going to place the slabs on the blue parts that I have showing on the left. So just go ahead and fill in all those spaces. It's kind of harder to just say them, so I'm just showing it to you. It's actually pretty easy to figure out once you realize there's like 4 blocks going on the corner, so you just have to make sure you got those 4 blocks going across the corner and just fill in the rest of the spaces. And there you go. Now we're going to do the second tier of the roof. This is kind of similar to what we did before. We're going to use these slabs and do a corner right here on these 2, and then when we have a single one, just do 3 across. So it's the same pattern we did before, but this time we're just using the slabs. And do that all the way around. Got 3 on the corner and 3 on the sides. And after that, we can take our black stone and go in like this. So you should have 2 on either sides of the ends, just like so. Now taking our slabs, we just have to finish off the last top part of the roof. We're going to go 5 across on the ends, like this on all sides, and we're going to be connecting it on the corners too. So we're going to have 5 across, and then on the corners, go ahead and connect it. So it should look like this. And I'll just repeat that all the way around. Basically, you're just making sure you've got 1 inset corner. That's basically all I have to think about. And now we're going to take our stairs, and wherever we have these inside corners, I'm going to put a stair on either end of it. This is just really tiny detail. You don't have to do a stair, it could be a full block, but I'm going to be doing a stair just like this on the corners, and then the rest of it is going to be filled in with a full block. We can fill this in, and then on top, oh, it looks like I missed a stair, and then on top we're going to do 4 slabs, well, 5 slabs to round off that shape just like that. And there you have the gazebo done. This is a very dark palette, but again, I just wanted to try this blackstone and it does look kind of ominous and interesting. Now we're going to do some decorations on the inside, and I did do this on my other one, so I thought I'd go ahead and do it here too. We're going to be adding a little hanging swing. I'm going to put some placeholder blocks here just to help me get the trapdoors, because I want them facing this direction. I'm going to use the crimson ones, so I want the slats going this way. So I'm going to do that, and then behind that I can do the back part, and I can remove those. So there's the swing part, and to make it hanging I'm just going to put iron bars here and here. So it's 1 here, then 2 up there, and then you're just going to connect it to the ceiling. There's probably other ways you could do it, but this is a good way I think that works really well for this size. And there's the gazebo done. The palette is really, really dark, but again, I was just experimenting with the blackstone, so that's kind of cool. If you want, you could always put some additional lighting with an iron bar and soul lantern. And there's our gazebo finished. I don't know if I want to do that on other sides. We don't have to. But now I'm just going to kind of build a garden around this and just kind of make it up as we go and see what we can come up with. Let's go ahead and add an enclosure to our garden so that we have an area to work in. I'm just going to make this up as I go. But I do have this little design for a little fenced in area, so let's just pick a spot. We're going to use the chiseled, polished blackstone. There's so many adjectives in there, but anyway, we got 3 polished walls there and then another chiseled, polished blackstone. I'm just gonna say chiseled, it's so much faster. And on top of that, I think I'll put a button, and this is going to be the fence design, if you will, that we're just gonna repeat around and enclose this whole area. You could make this as big or as small as you want. Okay, we have our enclosure. Now I had this really cool idea for an entrance. It's not really so much of an entrance as it is just something cool we can do here. So if I take the polished block again, let me see how I'm going to do this, how far apart I want them. I guess they could be farther apart or closer together. Let's try them 3 blocks apart like this. And I'm just going to pick a few spots. We're just going to create some columns, and I'm going to use the blackstone brick, I think that's what this is called, polished blackstone brick wall. There's too many adjectives in that, but that's what this is. And just make them at varying heights, and at the very top, again, put a, well, you could mix in some polished walls if you wanted to, just regular polished walls, but have them all going at different heights. And I don't know, you can mix the blocks, mix and match, whatever you want. And I think this will make a cool little entrance. You could make some of them really short, and some of them taller. So you've got your little columns there. This one kind of angles down, and this one is all kinds of different heights. Just add some variety to it, and I think it will look really neat. Let's go ahead and add a path to this, and I'm going to be mixing in basalt, regular basalt. I guess you could use the sides and the top, it doesn't really matter, but we're mixing that with blackstone as well as polished blackstone. So basically we have 4 different textures we're working with here. You could throw in more, there's so many others that would go well with this, but I don't want to over texture it too much, so I'm just going to stick with these 4, so the sides and the tops of basalt, and then polished and regular blackstone. And just fill it in wherever you think a path is needed. I might make mine just kind of fade away and just kind of go into a grassy area. I haven't decided. I could always extend it further, I guess. We'll just have it go up to here. Have it kind of spread out more the farther out it gets, but then over here where it's the main part of the path, we can have more of the blocks clustered together. There's so many textures going on there, so if I am overdoing it, it's very possible, but I'm just having fun experimenting with all of these different colors. That does look really cool, even if it is a little bit over textured. Alright, the next thing I think I want to do is start adding some green things, because so far we have a lot of structure but no garden. So the first thing I'm going to do is line the inside of these walls with these leaves, and I think I'll just add extra border and barrier to this garden. Kind of make it a little more secretive, like we're adding a little hedge around the whole thing. And I'm just kind of mixing this up. I don't want these to be the same height all the way around, but I'm also not going higher than 2 blocks. I'm just going to keep it very, very low because I want to still be able to see into the garden, but still make it a little bit more private with a hedge around it. I guess when we get to this corner, we can kind of round it off or connect it or just end it right there, whatever you think looks good. I'll just round it off around the corner. And I think that looks pretty good. Now it actually looks like we have some kind of garden started. And I do love the contrast with these leaves and this dark blackstone gate. That is really nice. Let's go ahead and try adding some planters. So I love the texture on the warp trapdoor, and I'm going to be using that as a border for a little garden. Maybe we'll just do one on the sides of the gazebo. Let's make sure this is symmetrical. Okay, we need to punch this one out and go all the way up like this. So you could make a little fenced-in garden area and then maybe fill it in with some different flowers. It could be any color flower, but I do like the way these lilac colors mix in with this teal warped wood. And we could even throw in some twisted vines, maybe along the back here. I'm not sure if these will grow infinitely. I haven't actually tested that out, but you could always just put them right next to the gazebo so they stop right there and they can't grow any higher. I'll just add a little bit of extra texture to it. And we can do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to keep this symmetrical for now. Let's go ahead and throw in an extra twisting vine right up here in the front. There we go. That looks actually really nice. I like that. It adds some bright colors right next to the gazebo, which looks really nice. I think I want to add another little sitting area, so I'm going to extend this path this way, but this time I'm just going to be using the basalt and polished basalt and just the sides of it, just so it kind of switches the texture we're using a little bit. Actually, I'm not sure how I feel about the polished, but I definitely don't want to use the tops of it, just the sides. So we'll just mix this in all the way up here. If you wanted to create an actual pattern with this, I'm sure that's something else you could do. I'm just throwing it in randomly. And let's go ahead and look for crimson. I want to use the crimson wood to create these little benches, so I'm going to place a couple of crimson slabs with trap doors on either side, and you could put a back to it as well if you wanted to, but I'm just going to leave the back open like that, and we've got a little bench. Maybe we could even do a second one right here. That looks really nice. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of light using a nether brick wall, some crimson fences on top of that like this. Maybe do a little corner thing like that with the soul lanterns hanging from it and add a little light source. We could put more of those in the garden probably. I always forget that we could even texture the grass too with some warped nylium if we wanted some bright pops of color in the ground. So we could do this and then maybe fill it in with some warped roots and fungus or whatever else we want to put in there. You can just mix in little bits and pieces like that. I actually do like that warped nylium. I might do more of it on this side, just right next to the path, to kind of make it kind of fade into the regular grass a little bit more. Since I have these pillars here, I have the idea of making a little planter that is hanging for our weeping vines to be displayed on, because they have to be hanging for us to display them. I could make a tree, but this garden really isn't using any trees, so we're going to be creating this little hanging planter. Let's use the polished blackstone again, and I'm going to make those same pillar designs, except at the top we're going to be putting some nylium of some kind. It could be this, it could be any, just so it looks like dirt, and then we'll put our weeping vines underneath, and then maybe I'll cover that with these trap doors. Let's see how this looks. And then we can always bone meal it so we get it all grown in. That looks so cool. So we've got like a hanging planter, and if we wanted to extend this and make this even cooler, we could maybe make a little, I don't know if this is going to fit. So this is barely going to fit in this space. It probably would look better if it was bigger. What if we did something like this and had a little archway, and then inside that archway you could do a hanging soul lantern. Maybe not so low, maybe just one higher, like this. That looks nice. And then let's go ahead and cover up this nylium with this, just so we don't see it. Maybe we can do the same up here. How does that look? Oh, I actually really like that. So that is a cool little design if you wanted to have like a hanging planter. It would be even cooler if you could have more of them. I guess you could do another one going this way. This garden is kind of small, but it would be cool if you could have another one like this, but sticking out from this side. But our other garden is kind of getting in the way, and I don't really want to change that. So that's a cool little archway design. Then you could always make another sitting area back here if you wanted to extend the path. We could just use the blackstone and make it go all the way through here. And we can create another sitting area. So let's throw a little bit of the crimson nylium over here. I think if you're going to do a garden like this, you'd want to do one color. I don't know if I like the two colors going on. I guess we could turn it into a 2-color garden, that's fine. I was thinking about doing more of a single color all the way around, but if you wanted to separate it and have like a red section and a blue section, that's what I'm kind of trying right now. So we've got our red nylium, and then we can fill in some red plants in here. We've got so many red plants to choose from, as well as wither roses. Those would look nice too. So we could throw in a few rose bushes, some wither roses, and some crimson roots, last of all, just to fill in all these spaces. And let's throw in another lamp like we have on the other side. I guess this will be the best spot for it. We'll just make it match. And we'll do soul lanterns, like so. The rest of the garden you could honestly just fill up with various plants of your choosing, although I feel like we do need something else in this corner, so let me go ahead and do another little something over here. Let's do a corner bench. I don't know how this is going to look. If we did a corner bench, that's interesting. And then what if we did, I have this cool idea for a little planter we could put behind it just with these walls. And then if we put a flower pot with some warped roots inside, those look so good in the flower pots. So I thought it would look cool to have little planters along the wall like this. I don't like how this is so disconnected though, so I guess we could put a full block under there if we wanted it to. We could do something like that, or you could even take out the bench. I'm not sure if I like the bench after all. You could always take out the bench and just put warped roots in front of it, or even flowers. Maybe just some blue flowers like blue orchids and cornflowers. It's okay to mix in some overworld items in here too. I'm just trying to use as much Nether stuff as I can. And I could keep going and I could keep adding things to this garden, but I think this does give you a little bit of an idea of what you could do. This back section though is kind of boring. You could always fill that in with something. But there we have another garden, or a dark garden. I actually really like some of these things. I have to say this is probably my favorite feature right here, these hanging weeping vines right there. So I do like that, and maybe I'll actually use that in my survival world someday. But this is a cool design, and I hope you guys were able to find some inspiration from it. I hope this video was able to inspire you in some way, or give you some ideas for just ways you could either create your own garden with different blocks, or just some creative ways you could use the blackstone. Blackstone, I will say, was not my first choice for these garden designs. I just chose to use it since it was just released and I wanted to try it out. But I actually do think the garden looks pretty good, even with the darker tone to it. And you could always switch out the blocks at any time using the same patterns. So we'll just leave it at that. I hope to see you again sometime in another video, but for now, goodbye. Joke's on you, I didn't forget about the latest snapshot. Not at all, I just made this video before it was released. But seriously, chains look way better on all these things.